have a motion to open.
I make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, we're just a little bit late. We're in executive session, and the topic goes under personnel. At this time, open the first public portion. This is where anyone can come up and speak. Anyone who comes forward, please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes to tell us what you think. This is only on agenda items.
Okay, then we're going to come back later.
Okay. Sorry about that. Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the first public portion and move on. At this time, are there any committee reports? Hearing none, we go into the principal's report.
Good evening, Mr. Burrito, Board of Ed members, and the Sherman School community. I would like to begin by taking a moment to thank Mrs. Gershio, Mrs. Padavano, and the custodial staff for the many improvements that were done to Sherman School. The first floor bathrooms were redesigned over the summer to add 2 additional sinks to allow students more space. These bathrooms were then enhanced by our PTA with positive phrases and quotes. Bookshelves were built in many of the classrooms to provide students and teachers a storage area for their supplies. The staff is very grateful for the added space and appreciates the time that Arzad, one of our custodians, put into making their classrooms more functional. The 2018-2019 school year has been off to a great start. All grade levels were invited to share a bit of their heritage. In honor of National Hispanic Heritage Month, students brought in artifacts, created PowerPoint presentations, posters, and even shared foods that represented their background and culture. Our guidance counselor, Mrs. Halperin, organized several character-ed events, such as Start with Hello, a week-long presentation stressing the importance of being kind to others. And for Respect Week, she asked the PTA and the district to share the cost to have Steve Max present his interactive Simon Says Assembly, teaching students the importance of having good character and being good listeners. On Election Day, our 5th grade class elected 9 representatives for our Sherman School Student Council. These student council members will serve as our student council members of character. They will be responsible for teaching the student body about good character and the importance of being kind and staying humble. The student council will also organize fundraisers throughout the year for various needs. The first fundraiser will go home tomorrow. It is a pajama drive to help families in need. This is partnered by Scholastic Books, and for every pair of pajamas donated, Scholastic will donate a brand new book. Our Council of Character will also have fundraisers to help raise money for enhancing our school's playground. Our Sherman School parents have expressed an interest in adding interactive games to our blacktop. These types of games are called peaceful playgrounds. The goal is to have an active play area that spreads students across the playground, giving them several options of games, and these games will help teach children positive conflict resolution skills such as using rock, paper, scissors to resolve conflict. Our 5th grade classes, under the direction of our technology teacher, Mrs. Dougherty, have made visits to the makerspace at the high school with the help of Mrs. Lemke to complete engineering challenges. Working with high school students, they built a bridge using straws and tape. The structure that held the greatest weight was the winner. At yesterday's visit, the winning bridge could hold 16 books, and it was made out of 27 straws. Our 2nd grade classes held a harvest fest today, collecting food for the Pisano Center and pet supplies for the animal shelter. And finally, our pre-K to 1st grade classes will have a Thanksgiving feast tomorrow. We are very grateful for our parent volunteers to help our little ones. and I am very grateful to be part of such a wonderful school and community. Thank you all, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. So, at this time, we're going to have a sleeve recognition.
Okay, the following students are being recognized for exceeding expectations on the Park Language Arts Literacy for grade 3. Naomi Canseo and Jasmine Benaraga. Will the following students please come forward? These students are being recognized for exceeding expectations on the Park Mathematics 2008 test for grade 3. Zamanda Andrade Maldonado, Alfred Chen, Valentina Julie Joseph, Joseph Kinney, Adriana Maranjo Nato, Isabella McGowan, Isabella Rodriguez, and Danica Solomonson. The following students are being recognized for exceeding expectations on the Park Language Arts Literacy for grade 4. Aiden Ponzio, Javian Ruiz, and Noah Seifert. The following students are being recognized for exceeding expectations on the Park Mathematics Test 2018 for grade 4. Sadie Lavach, Lillian Perez, Aiden Ponzio, Sophia Rodriguez, Adrian Ruiz, and Sydney Smith. Congratulations, everybody. Would you please come this way? We're going to take a group picture. Thank you.
I'd like to say congratulations to all our students for their wonderful work. Keep it up. And at this time, students, you can go home and do some homework if you have it. No homework? Okay, you can go home and watch TV. Okay, we'll change to our meeting. This time we'll have the superintendent's report. Mr. Guido.
Thank you, you, Mr. Harms. Good evening, picture person. Group. Good evening. I wanted to begin, first of all, just making a statement. As you know, we had the first inclement weather storm last week. That was definitely a superintendent's nightmare, and from what I understand, it was a governor's nightmare as well. It was, again, unexpected, and whenever there's a snowstorm, we always think of student safety first. We were caught by surprise. I think the entire state was caught by surprise, and we decided to have a full day, but in comparison to other school districts and other areas and regions of the state, we did really well. All students were safe, they got home safe, the buses were a little delayed, but it wasn't as bad. In terms of the delayed opening the following day, the forecast was for rain overnight. We waited because we always want to make sure that if we can and the students are safe, we do get a full day of school so we don't disrupt our students' education. We waited as long as we could, and I know for some parents it might have been a little bit of an inconvenience, but we decided to err with the student safety before anything else. So I want to thank everyone involved. I want to thank the parents and the staff for their patience during that storm. Everyone got home safe, and that was the most important thing that we can ask for. So, the winter's coming, so we certainly want to be prepared for that. I just want to give an update on the STEAM lab. We are continuing to make progress. There were a couple of little hiccups in terms of the manufacturers not having a couple of things ready on time. That it's delaying the opening of the STEAM lab just a little bit, not much. On Monday, we are going to start moving furniture and equipment into the STEAM lab rooms, and we're hoping to be fully functional by the beginning of the school year. We wanted to have an open house or ribbon cutting for the STEAM lab before we go on vacation. However, since we had so many students involved in this project, and really it was their vision that drove this project, a lot of them are still or are in college this year because they started 2 years ago, this project. We're going to wait till January when they're all back from school to have that open house and the ribbon cutting ceremony. We are going to send a flyer out. Whoever wants to come in January can come. So we're going to ask the students to give a tour of the STEAM lab, but we are very excited and very proud of this project. We really are. And for you that are here for the arts, remember it's STEAM. Okay, not STEM. Is STEAM, so the A is included in that project as well. An update on the preschool grant in this preschool program. We are ready. 2 classrooms around Gordon. We already have existing classrooms at Aldine. We are giving 3 and 4-year-olds opportunities that therefore they would not have. So we're very excited. We're very grateful that we were recipients of this grant. And I know the parents are very excited. We already are in the process of hiring the staff that we need for those classrooms, and also ordering the resources, materials, curriculum, and things such as that. So again, January 2nd is another exciting time for Roselle Park School District. Strategic planning, our first meeting with our committee will be held November 29th. We already have quite a few goals and objectives that we're going to be looking at. I will be reporting periodically to the board and to the public on the progress. And we're hoping that by spring, we have a 5-year operational strategic planning plan that will go into effect in September of 19. So we're very excited again to be working on such a plan. The old plan, we had a 3-year plan, was very successful. And we really accomplished probably about 98%, 95-98% of all the goals that we had for that plan. So having said that, we are a district on the move, and we're moving forward. And we're very proud of our staff, very proud of our administration, doing an excellent job, as Mrs. Legner reported here in Sherman, all of our schools are moving in the right direction. So having said that, I want to wish everyone a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Vanilla. At this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. I'd like to have a motion. I'm sorry, items 1 through 4, district substitute, staff appointments, maternity leave of absent request, number 4, maternity leave of absent. That's it, number 4. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Cancino,
Yes.
Mr. Gerton,
Yes.
Mr. Hemingway, Mr. Leingang, Ms. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Sekou,
Yes.
Mr. Signorello,
Yes.
President Harms.
Yes.
Roll call, motion carries.
On the agenda, items on education, 5 through 6, 5 education programs, 6 harassment, intimidation, bullying incidents. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Under business, items 7 through 12, approval of bills, approval of minutes, memorandum of agreement, monthly certifications, transfers, use of buildings and grounds, and that's it. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments? Anyone wishing to abstain?
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to abstain from number 8 for the October 2nd.
Anyone else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll move on to continuing business. Is there any? Hearing none, any new business?
Yes, Mr. President, well, actually, it's a question for Mr. Burrito, and it's concerning that the snow days are, actually, I should say, the delayed openings. And I've noticed that all, in elementaries and middles, the reporting time for all the students is the same time, correct?
Yes, and actually, thank you, Mr. Miller, for pointing that out. One of the things that we noticed as well, and I think you may be going in this direction, the middle school and Robert Gordon being next to each other, we have almost 700 students going in at the same time. I'm working with Ms. Joyce and with the staff to either delay the middle school or having them come in earlier so we do not have that traffic in front for any delayed opening. I know that it doesn't happen very often, but when it does cause quite a bit of an inconvenience. So we will be working, hopefully, there won't be any delayed opening for the rest of the winter, but we are working on a schedule to alleviate that situation.
And along that same vein, you're correct in your assumption. Is, for instance, if I have a child at Aldine and I have a child at, say, Middle, it's logistically, tough to get the children there together. So is there like a forgiveness time, or is there a little leeway?
Yeah, what I typically, what I always do with ISD principals to have some leniency and leniencies for any inclement day, because obviously it's very difficult to get to school during that time. So yeah, any leniency would be excused for any inclement day.
That's great, because I think it gives the parents a little more ease in trying to get their children to go to school at the same time. So thank you, Mr. Burrito, for addressing that.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
I'd like to get to the, I thought at one time we used to have, excuse me, that the K-5 was actually later than the middle school and high school. I think we got away from that. I don't know how many years ago, but I do know when my son went to middle school, there was a grace period. He gave a few minutes because, of course, it is very tough to get from Aldine to middle school. So I believe there's a grace period, but does anybody remember there was a 10-minute difference between K to 5 and then middle school and high school? I was looking at some older calendars. I thought, I feel comfortable that it was at one time, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, but a long time ago.
There was.
My kids are old. So I don't remember, some reason 10 minutes. Okay, there you go, okay. Not when I went to school, easy now. All right, thank you.
We'll rely on the superintendent to work on that so we don't have this confusion and put our children in safety, in harm's way. We'll put on words.
Mr. President, as you stated, Mr. Superintendent, what time does the teachers have to report? Are we?
Yeah, the teachers are usually the same as they do during a regular day. They are expected to be there 10, 15 minutes prior to start time. Yeah, students are never left unsupervised. Obviously, if there are teachers that live far away, we always have some type of coverage for that teacher if they can make it on time.
Absolutely. I'm just worried that on that end, there's no inconvenience. The teachers are here.
No, they're here, yes. We always expect them to be in for our students.
And we've never had an issue with that.
No.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Any other new business?
Mr. Harms, I just wanted to say real quick, on new business, just welcoming Mrs. Lechner to Sherman School in your first 3 months, really, probably 5 months, and being pretty summer. And I'm speaking on behalf of the board. I'm sure is that, we're very impressed with your leadership and your spreading a positive altruistic behavior with the students as far as celebrating the diversity with your National Hispanic Heritage Month to start, and your positive leadership and the caring leadership that you're getting with the elections that you spoke of as well. And I love the working with the high school students and the peaceful playground. Sound like wonderful, exciting ideas. So keep up the great work, and we wish you well.
Any other? Okay. At this time, I will open the second public portion of the meeting, and this time you can speak on any topic you'd like. Please come up, your name and address, and please remember each person has 3 minutes. So, all right, 3 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shauna Nelson. I am at 54 Charles Street in Rosemont Park, and my son is a second grader at Robert Gordon Elementary School. So I'm here because I am the new Robert Gordon Picture Person Coordinator for the 2018-2019 school year and hopefully beyond if they'll have me. So what Picture Person is, it allows parents to go into the class, well, volunteers, I should say, to go into the classroom with artwork like what's lined up on the walls and presented to the children. It's very informative. I find that the children have good conversations around the art themselves. The artists are very diverse. The art is very diverse. The topics and conversations can range from art to whatever the artist may be reflecting in their art and how it relates to their personal life. Being involved in Picture Person helped me to understand the importance of arts in the school for our children, and I just realized that as we prepare our children for the future, I came up with this little slogan I think was kind of clever. It doesn't stop at STEM, but we have to move full steam ahead, which is putting arts into the classroom, and I think that Picture Person does a very good job at bringing art into the classroom in a fun and inviting way for children. I started as Picture Person as a volunteer. My son was in kindergarten, and I've been participating every year. I decided to step up and become the coordinator for the program because I thought it was very important. It was something that I was really passionate about. I'd like to add that I'm the VP of Finance for the Robert Gordon PTA, where our mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. My purpose here today is to shed more light on the need to incorporate art into our curriculum at Robert Gordon. And we also have some programs coming up, so I'll give out these spots.
Sure. Thank you.
So what that is an art gallery that's coming up Thursday of next week for our second grade class. We also, and we invite you to join us and just get an idea of what we're about, how excited the children are for the program, the involvement, and the participation that we have for the teachers and the staff within Robert Gordon. We also have a spring program coming up that more information will follow, but there's a lot of performances, artists that paint with their mouth and hands, and just a lot of fun stuff that's coming up at Robert Gordon. So more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ellen Margarita. Also, my daughter is in Robert Gordon, she's in 5th grade. I live at 111 East Clay Avenue in Roselle Park. I actually was a big part of the picture person program at Robert Gordon, but because I'm leaving, Shauna is taking over. Thank you so much, Shauna. I'm really excited to see what you do with the program. And I also want to thank Mrs. Lechner for being such a positive influence and allowing us to bridge together with Sherman. We're looking forward to trying to help Sherman get the program as well. I do have a question pertaining to the amount of time that the children have their art class currently in all 3 elementary schools. I understand it was shortened from 45 minutes to 30 minutes. I'm wondering if that can be extended back to 45 minutes. The art class is different from the other specials because it requires setup and introduction before the lesson, before the students begin to actually work on the art. It also requires cleanup, and this time spent has reduced the art teacher's ability to complete as much of their lesson during the 30 minutes. So it's required them to stretch their curriculum, one lesson, into 2 classes. So over time, that means they won't be able to cover as much curriculum throughout the year. And with your current wonderful commitment to this full steam ahead at the high school, it seems a little contradictory to cut back the fundamentals of art at the lower levels if your expectation is for the children to have art at the high school and be able to perform well at the high school level. So I'm not sure how to end this.
Ms. Margarita, thank you for bringing this to our attention. All I can tell you, we're working towards that goal, to bring the 45-minute period to the arts.
Can I present a petition? I have a petition from Robert Gordon and Sherman students, and I think faculty as well, if it will help. I don't know if it will help, but I will.
We always listen to our students.
Will
Yes.
give Exhibit A and B.
We'll try.
I didn't make copies, so. If you could-
You don't want these
A lot of
back.
witnesses here.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Picture person back. I'm Dr. Daniel Darba, 33 East Grant Avenue. Coordinator of World Languages at Mercer County Community College and professor of Spanish language there and French language. I organize and lead groups of students on study abroad from Mercer County College as well. I volunteer ESL at our local Veterans Library here. I've done that for a couple of years. And I'm a proud parent of Robert Gordon, 3rd grader, Jackson Darba. And thanks to him, I'm a volunteer picture person for Robert Gordon. Tonight I'll briefly tell you why I do it, how I do it, and I'll invite you to visit us and support us. Thanks, guys. So I'm an educator, and I became a parent, and I wanted to join PTA to be more involved community member. Having never been on the PTA, I thought PTA meant an opportunity to be involved in academics. It's mostly not that, and that was disappointing. But then I met Al, and through the PTA, he was offering an opportunity to participate in something that was fun and academic, a chance to model for my son and to my son research and public speaking. So how do I do it? Al taps me for an assignment. He gives me some study materials. He gives us the prints that you see here that we use. My son and I, we do the reading, we do some background research, we watch some movies if there's something. We ask each other questions and we rehearse. And then we go into the classroom and Jack, that's his name, Jack and I, present to his classmates. The best thing about Picture Person is that it's pure education. It's like Socratic. You're sitting around, you're talking, you're thinking, and you're looking at beautiful things, and you're thinking and learning, and it's low stakes, and there's no tests. Programs like this are about also the greater good. Getting people together is always a good idea. To get people to consume art and literature makes better citizens, I believe. If you think Picture Person is an important and valuable program for our community of learners, then we invite you to visit us. Start talking about us, and eventually help us think of ways to make it a sustainable signature characteristic of our Roselle Park learning community. You might not find ways to do that with a board resolution, but maybe instead as the community members, the professionals, and the lifelong learners that you are. Picture Person supports students and teachers. Picture Person supports parents and community. Picture Person supports learning. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My first time here.
Your address, name and address.
My name is Rafael Semenkis, 43 East Webster. But thank you once again for having us. I wanted to touch more on the subject of art in general. It's a fundamental foundation in education, I feel. I met up with Al a couple of years back, maybe 3 years ago, and just kind of showed me what I interpreted in all these prints that you see here. And I was like, I love it. I love it, and just drew me into it. 3 years later, we're doing art festivals, we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And adding on to what Mr. Garrido said, basically the STEAM program, pre-K, my daughter, she was one of the few that was accepted in it. I brought some of her artwork as well too from her current daycare, which incorporates STEAM. This is when she first came in. You can see a little before and after, got a little bit better. I mean, it helps too that her father is an artist as well too. But yeah. But it's an engaging program. This is actually an art. This was actually in front of the. I'm not sure everybody else. A little crude, but you got to remember that this was a middle schooler that did this with spray paint, and that's one thing that Al actually allowed me to incorporate here in Roselle Park, and I appreciate everybody in Roselle Park for being receptive to it. Graffiti, it's known as graffiti, but spray paint art. It's actually a contemporary art form. We're living in it right now. So just to see kids engaged, this was actually pretty cool when you pay attention to the kids' details. He added drips. He did his initials here. So and he added colors. It's an engaging program. So I just want to see STEAM actually incorporated into the curriculum as well too. But I definitely appreciate you guys, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patty Ellen Gove. I don't live in Roselle Park, but I'm involved very heavily with Al Walkoff and the Picture Person program. The one thing I wanted to bring up is that sometimes we have some volunteers. One of the past superintendent, he dressed up as P.T. Barnum. He had the hat. One time, Al Walkoff was in a wheelchair, and he was Matisse was in the wheelchair. And so then the children saw him, and they go, I know you, you're Matisse in the wheelchair. And when we do things like that, the children remember. And it's educational, as Daniel was saying, but it's, yes, also fun, because there's no grades for it. It's like, what do you see? And basically, art is interpreted. So whatever the person sees in the art is what they see in the art. And we do something with Courier and Ives, and I play a role of Fanny Palmer. And she had the first production line where the women would be in stations, and each woman would color a print. And Ford gets the credit for the assembly line, but she had the first production line with Courier and Ives. And it's just a wonderful program. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Al Walcott, 24 Warren Avenue, lifetime Roseville Park resident. And I basically, with a lot of help, started Picture Person back in 1989, and we're about to be a 30-year overnight success. We've done a lot of really cool stuff, and we realize the most important thing is that putting the A in STEM is going to be a difficult task when we're already taxed out and we don't have the money. We just passed, in the past election, $500 million for education. Not a penny of it is in there for A for STEM, to make it STEAM. Mr. Finizio was the superintendent of schools when we started, and he did not teach with the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. He had a saying called the 3 A's, athletics, academics, and arts. I think that should be our new focus. Thank you very much. And please, we will take you around, let us show you how Picture Person works. We'll show you basically how much fun this is. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
So, okay, from 150 Berwyn Street. Mr. Hemingway and Mr. Lange gave notice of absence. Thank you. Any update on the finalized formal collective bargaining agreement?
It's currently in the hands of both parties, the Board of Ed and the RPEA, to read for typographical errors. As soon as that process is completed, then we'll have the formal sign.
Okay. At this point, if there was a proposed change to the contract, could that be done or not? Like a significant proposed change? Like moving from 7 prep periods to 5?
You always have that opportunity.
Thank you. For the facilities manager, I noticed that there was a month overlap between the retirement, at least when I saw, and I presume that month is, I guess, for mentorship. Thank you. In response to Mr. Signorella's comment, in 2014 they did have staggered opening. On February 18th there was a delayed opening where the elementary schools came in at 9:50, high school came in at 9:40, and the middle school also came in at 9:30, it looks like. And they also had for kindergarten, so perhaps to review that. And they also did a staggered 2014.
Was it only that year, Saul, or was
That's the only one that I wrote an article about.
14, 15.
It was February 18th,
Okay.
2014.
I think it was in 2014.
Yeah, I think we're right. There was I had a question regarding Mr. Garrido, through the chair. You had stated for the STEAM, I think it was an error in the wording. You said you hope to be fully functioning by the beginning of the school year. Of January. That's what I just wanted to make sure. And then for the high school assembly, if someone wanted to come and make a presentation, how does that work?
Like any other...
An organization.
Yeah, any other buildings, they would have to first go to the principal, okay, of the high school, fill out the form. Obviously, we need to know what the topic is, and it'd be administratively approved, and then the board would approve it after that.
But there would be a form. That
There will
will-
be building use for the signal staff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi. Katie McDermott, 730 Galloping Hill Road. I have two students here at Sherman Elementary, a fifth grader and a kindergartner. I wanted to ask a follow-up question regarding district choir, which was brought up by Ms. Donnelly at the last meeting. It's my understanding that the teacher did in fact submit a proposal, which was given to the union, which was then brought to the board, and the response given was that the board was not looking to add any additional programs, so it was not included in this last contract. Even though district choir has been around for years with an unpaid faculty member. So my question is there a possibility of bringing it back for the 1920 school year? Is there any type of an addendum that could be done in order to bring it back?
Sure.
But what is, I mean, the teacher has already submitted the proposal, so what is the process to try and bring it back and actually?
I do want to make it clear that it was not brought to the board attention. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Okay, I can come to that. However, the proposal can be sent, just like any other club. The administration at the school, if there's, enrollment for that, or participation in the school, absolutely, it will be definitely something that.
So we can talk about, maybe Mr. Greedo, if we can kind of talk about the process, right? Because that's where I always go back to the process guide. So the process would be that proposal is raised by a staff member, somebody, it comes forward, it goes through the building administration, it then would go to the, assuming approval, it would then go to the central office, our Board of Education office. At that point, it would be reviewed. It then goes out to the board. If we're talking about additional headcount, if we're talking about additional salaries, if we're talking about additional expenses, and it will go to the respective committees for review. At that point, based on those recommendations, and only those recommendations, it goes back to the administrative team for implementation and feasibility. And only then does the discussion start with the union. I'm sorry, let's refer to it as the association, the RPEA, around if there is a need to stipend that position and to basically include it in the contract if it's not already done. So it is, there is a process and it is a practice and it's always been that way. But the first step is to go through the building and then bring it to the central office that will bring it through the board. I hope that helps clarify the steps that are required.
I'm not the one doing the steps. I'm just relaying the information that I was told that the steps were in fact taken, which apparently was not the case. So thank you for answering those questions. And I also just wanted to note that I, with all these other people, really do implore the district to have a better balance between athletics, academics, and the arts. I was planning on saying this before everybody else came up and started talking. I'm a data analyst. The only reason I have my job is because of my background in the performing arts. Other people talked, so I still have a minute left on my timer because I stopped my timer when other people were talking. But really, that's it. That's all I really wanted to say was just that I too agree with everybody that the arts is very important for us to include in our district. And my son proudly came home and told me about the petition that was passed around Sherman School today. Thank you.
Thank you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Sorry.
Somebody else?
Good evening. Gina Santangelo, 145 Charlotte Terrace. It's been a while for me, so I don't remember and I couldn't answer this question properly. But somebody did ask me about the high school orientation, that they weren't sure if their child is now entering the next year and knew nothing about orientation. They weren't sure if they missed it. They wanted to know more information about the classes and...
Yeah, the information will be sent home. Is your child currently in
No, I actually have a junior in college who went through, and I have two little guys who are going to be part of Sherman.
Information sent home. It usually happens in February, the high school orientation, but information is sent home. They communicate that very well.
She wasn't sure if she missed it.
No,
She said, can you possibly ask?
It happens in February.
February, great.
Okay.
And I don't have the information about the programs at the site.
All that will be,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the second public portion. At this time, if there's nothing else,
Mr.
President?
President?
Yes?
Could I make a statement? Or maybe what? Sure. Just for a second. So I want to thank the parents from that do the picture perfect. Mrs. Lackner, keep me honest, we had this here at Sherman years ago. I remember being a volunteer and going into my son's classroom and doing the picture perfect. Excellent program. I'm glad to see that there's some cooperation between the schools and that, you know, that it remains. I think the board, I didn't catch your name, but I thought you made mention of the art. I will tell you this, it remains on the top of everybody on the board's mind. You know, we do have to work within some constraints, but it remains a topic of conversation. And this board, I will be leaving the board in January or at the end of December, but I can assure you the board will continue to have that as a topic of their mind. They recognize that. Okay.
I'll be on the board next year. I guarantee it. We'll keep it going as far as we can take it. Absolutely. We got to do it on this end. That's all. But keep on doing what you're doing. That's the biggest help for us. Okay, to push it. So keep up the good work. We thank you. Appreciate all your volunteering to put this all together. So thank you for coming out tonight. If there's nothing else,
I would like to know, will there be a nighttime or evening presentation of the art, or is it only during the day?
There's a PTA meeting the night before, so after the PTA meeting is at 7 o'clock.
What day is that?
Wednesday, the 28th. We have plans on having the gallery set up that.
We'll be open by 5:30, so if you want to come before the meeting between 5:30 and 7, come to our PTA meeting or come back up.
We'd rather come to the PTA.
We'd love to have you stop by and see our cool PTA.
Just like you'd rather us come to your meeting.
But we invite you to come. If you can't come to the gallery, come the night before and see what we're doing. Because I think you'll be impressed. We've got this remarkable group of volunteers right now. And you'll be surprised how cool the kids are. Mr. Greedo knows he's joined us on a couple of times at the gallery. He's led groups with us. So if anybody wants, we'll go over here. We can talk about anything you want. Most of this stuff is part of the portrait gallery stuff. And then here is just for fun.
okay. If nothing else, at this time, I want to wish everyone a very happy and safe and, how do I say it, equal? Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and to the board members also. Have a healthy and happy one. I'll accept the motion to close.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion. Thank you.